Good morning, everyone. It is Throat Punch Thursday, July 15th, and I kind of feel like I have a little throat punch. Yep, little hoarse this morning, kind of congested. Not how I wanted to start my day, but you know what? It's still a wonderful day. It's sunny, and well, even if it's not sunny outside, it's always sunny inside. All right, let's take a look here, even though we are pulling back here in the futures a bit. We talked yesterday before the close that kind of looked like that, we were on the downside of that candle. It was still an open candle yesterday, but we were on the downside. We talked about a comeback and kind of tag up with the 8, maybe even all the way back to the 20. You can see historically,
S&P
a lot of
500
times that's
futures
exactly what happens here is we kind of come back and we touch, bring these moving averages back together a bit. So just be on the lookout for that. But we also have a ton of earnings getting ready to come out next week. The NASDAQ is down not nearly as much, but we looked yesterday and I just want to talk to you a little bit about what we see when we're looking under the market, kind of, so to speak. So even when we were, trying to push higher, if you just pop over to finviz.com, it's a free site, and you just go to their homepage, you're going to see all this information. Well, something that's really important and a very good visual, very quick glance at what's going on is going to be right here. This is the heat map, and it gives you the big names in the sectors. And what, obviously, the more green it is, like this super bright green and Apple, means that it's doing really well. But then you get some of these more muted greens, and it's like, okay, they're doing okay, but they're not doing great. Only a few bright reds yesterday, but really quite a mixed picture, other than in consumer defensive. So we saw that in like Pep, Walmart, all of the Coke. Those consumer defensives did very well yesterday, as well as real estate and some of the utilities. And overall, though, taking a look at that, it's really quite a mixed bag. But look at this. We had an awful lot on the decline versus the advance. And this kind of lets you know what's going on up under the market. Another good thing I like to look at is the VIX. So if you have green indexes, typically what you would see is a red VIX. The more green the index is, the more red the VIX. When that doesn't really follow suit, and maybe even though the markets might be really green, the VIX could be maybe a little red, then that's a little bit of a caution flag. Go back to my NASCAR. Talking to my NASCAR fans here. There's something on the track. We need to slow down, and we don't necessarily know what it is yet, but we have to slow down because we don't all have spotters, right? We have to slow down and watch the track to see what we need to move around. Well, the same in the market. When things aren't moving, the indexes aren't moving in unison, and all of a sudden your VIX isn't moving the opposite way of the market, that tells you that either there's just a few names pushing the sectors up, which could very well be. You might only have 2 or 3 names in the communication sector, and the rest could be poopy, but those 2 or 3 names could really make it move. You have to just kind of stop and just take a little break and say, you know what, I'll wait till I get a clear picture and get that green flag back in. Also, another good one to watch is the tick chart. I know some of you watch it a lot, and so I didn't really watch it until you guys started pointing it out, and certain members in here actually watch it very religiously. And the tick chart isn't very volatile. It is very quiet, and that is something also that is just a little warning signal that, hey, there's something else going on here. Now, we do have Powell yesterday and today up on the Hill getting beat up by Congress, and I'm sorry, that was very disrespectful. I mean, he's providing testimony to Congress, and then we also have all those earnings coming up next week. We've had some bank earnings come out, with some big bank earnings that kind of kick it off, but there are still some really good names to look at. So I'm not putting out a specific watch list. There's plenty of good names on the list that we've done, but one I cannot stop talking about now is Apple. I cannot believe that this sucker it's green this morning. Now it's only at 149.20, so just below that all-time high. But look at the use of this trend line. Used it yesterday and continued moving up. It does have earnings next week. Microsoft has done really well, though the candle much smaller, and this is definitely a candle of indecision. We're still stuck underneath that trend line, so we're looking for a move above it. Netflix earnings coming up. We talked about this one a bunch yesterday. I actually really like this as a day trade over 551.50. That clears out this little bit of resistance that we have left, and we have earnings coming up very quickly. I would not hold this through earnings. Good news or bad news, it just seems like, look at this, right? Yeah, I don't know, too much risk, too much risk. Battle the streaming war, streaming wars continue. All right, so take a look at those. There are, a few. We constantly have been watching Moderna. Look at that yesterday. We had the nice little break, came in yesterday, popped right up to that trend line, so keep an eye on that. I think that's still a good trade. NVAX kind of gave it up, but I like that Moderna quite a bit. So keep an eye on that one. The payment sites did really well yesterday. Definitely outperformed there. Look at MasterCard has some, still has some room to actually break, to move up for the breakout. So I kind of like the MasterCard look a little bit better right now. But I like them both. I will tell you that. I think that on an opening range break is a great way to take it. Yesterday I did stop out of Starbucks. It doesn't mean that I don't still like it, but this candle on the downside closed, and it closed below the open yesterday, was a signal for me to go ahead and take that, just take that risk off and look and see if it comes back in. If not, we'll just move on to another trade. It actually had some pretty decent volume all of the last few days that we've worked with it. So again, there are definitely plenty of names out there. Stay, maybe some smaller position sizing, or maybe just not as many positions, just until we get a more clear picture of what is happening in the market. We've hit so many highs recently. A really good pullback or rest period would be awesome. It really would. It would be painful. I know it always feels painful, but it really would be awesome. Okay, everyone, that is it for me this morning. I hope you have a wonderful day. If anything changes during the day in the market, I will do an updated video and be sure to get it out. Otherwise, I'll just be sitting back, kind of hanging out, waiting to see what happens. All right, have an awesome Thursday. If you have any questions, reach out. HeatherC, GivingTreeTrading.com.